India's GST Council has approved sweeping tax changes that will impact both households and industries. Essentials such as groceries, medicines, personal care items, and even cement in small cars will now cost less. At the same time, the council has raised levies on sin goods like tobacco, fizzy drinks, luxury products such as SUVs, yachts, private aircraft. Now, to understand the implications of these reforms, we're now being joined by Mithali Nikor, founder Nikor Associates, an economist. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Haim.
Now, with the council moving to a two-rate structure plus a special higher rate for a few sin luxury items, will simpler rates lift consumption more than they dent revenues?
So I think, this entire reform process has been extremely progressive because what we are now observing is that we're moving from a rate structure which was, say, between 5% to 28% to a new rate structure which is between 0% to 40%. So that sort of spreads out the taxation on consumption over several, rate ranges, and also enables the government to mop up additional revenue from the 40% commodities while cross subsidizing those commodities which are essential goods, essential items, and moving those into the 0% and 5% brackets, particularly food, health products, education products, which are all moving into the 0 to 5% range. So, this overall move, of course, has some losses in revenue, but those are much lower than what is expected in such a big reform.
Right, and of course, that being said, one question would perhaps also be what happens to fiscal space for states. Also, premiums on health and life insurance are to be outside this. Does this meaningfully improve affordability and coverage effectively?
So I think when it comes to insurance, first of all, on your question there, I think it's not that insurance is moving out completely. What is happening is that it is going to be taxed at a zero rate. So it's not as though insurance is not within the GST mandate. It is still within the GST mandate, but for now, its rate has been set at 0%. So every time you purchase an insurance, you can and if you have a GST number, you can still declare that you purchased it. It's just that it would be at zero tax. And this, of course, increases the affordability of the insurances because it allows insurance companies to offset their input costs, but at the same time, also lower the premiums that the average consumer would be paying.
Right, and just to understand this better, perhaps if most goods are taxed at 5%, 18%, then of course we're talking about the 40% levy that applies to certain products. Does this hybrid model keep GST simple enough for businesses while serving public health and redistributive goals?
No, definitely it does. Because at the end of the day, the market is already used to a four slab structure. We are essentially in the same four slab structure, but we've spread out the slabs. And of course, our lowest slab is now 0%. So definitely for the market, this is not that much of a complexity. It does, of course, affect, some of the sin goods like aerated drinks a little bit negatively, but this is very well within the global practice of taxing high sugar and unhealthy products at a higher rate. On the other hand, it is very good news for industries like automobiles, for example, which move from a 28% rate to a uniform 18% rate, thereby simplifying things. And overall, the process simplifications have also been announced, like, for example, in the filing process. So I think overall, it will bring a great relief to the market.
Right, and we were joined by Mr. Subhash Chandra Garg, former Finance Secretary of India, who mentioned that the estimated revenue loss may be underestimated. What's your assessment on that front?
So I think on the revenue loss, to be very honest, we have to wait for 2 or 3 quarters to fully estimate how this is going to play out. Because if we look at the revenue gain story, right, every time your consumption increases, if your consumption increase offsets the revenue loss that comes from the lower tax rate, then it could even be a revenue gain story, in a couple of quarters or in a couple of years. So I think over time we have to wait and watch to see how much this offsets the revenue, is offset by an increase in consumption levels.
Right, and of course, the Prime Minister has hailed this as a move towards a self reliant India. I'm just trying to understand what your assessment of this is in light of course, the Trump tariffs.
So, very honestly, let's look at the downside on GDP, right? The Trump tariffs are bringing a downside of GDP of at least zero point 0.5 percentage points in GDP growth within just 1 year itself. Now, if this GST relaxation can bring us an improvement in consumption and buoy up the economy even by zero point 0.5 to 0.6% of GDP, this move could actually be one of the best ways of countering the Trump tariffs in the short term. And of course, we don't know whether the Trump tariffs are going to be lasting over a longer time horizon or are they actually going to be just for a short time. So, therefore, this is a very important step to give that basic fillip to the economy. And the most affected sectors have been the ones which have received the best, sort of GST rationalization in this process. Like, for example, footwear and textiles has gone from 12% to 5%. We've seen chemicals go down from 18% to the 5% range. We've seen, a lot of other sectors like gems and jewelry also move from 28% to 18%. So, these sectors which were very badly impacted by the Trump tariffs are the ones which have seen, this rationalization of GST bringing in, benefit to the domestic economy.
All right. Mithali, thank you so much for your time. As you know, we always love to hear your insights. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.